Hey, so before we start this video, I just want to say this is not a tutorial as lots of my other videos are. This is more like a devlog kind of format where I show my work progress throughout the day. So sometimes you'll just see me adding a method, and that method I might have used 2 hours creating and testing before I show it to you guys. So this is just the flow of my day throughout working on this project. I don't even know what this project is going to be. I just wanted to make something world generated based on noise. I don't know if it's going to be an RTS game or a like something else, third person shooter or whatever I want to make it into. But I'm just starting on something, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to release this on Steam at some point. Other than that, if you're interested in the assets and the props and everything I'm using here, or actually this project that you see right here in front of you, you can download it from my Patreon page, which a lot of people already have done. So thank you so much for your support for that. But let's get going with the video. So let's get started on my new project. I've just opened up Unity and added my standard assets that I'm usually using when I create a game. And this is going to be like a game with a toon shader. So I've already added my skybox, but the game, I'm not sure about the actual game yet, but I feel like I want to make something with a generated world. I know I've been done it 1,000 times, but I haven't done it before, so I want to challenge myself and learn something new. So that's one of the things I'll be doing. And I have my shaders. I have a cell shader that I'm going to use. I've already added it to the project, and these are the shaders like cell shaded environment, outline, and terrain, and some low poly water that I'm using, and I'm just going to reuse that. But I think I want to get started by creating a terrain by making a world generator. And basically it's just going to be spawning my terrain. I feel like I want to have the option to just in Unity in the editor tell it how big the world is going to be, and then I'll just generate the world based on that size that I'm writing down. About optimizing it, I think I want to make it work first, and then I'm going to optimize it, because I know there's going to be a lot of trees and everything, and there's also the possibility of trees needs to be cut down in the game so I can get wood and such, if that's that kind of game I'm making. So that's also something, so I can't just make them into terrain assets or foliage, because I can't interact with it then. So I'm not going to bore you with all the code, because it's going to be boring if I'm going to show writing all the code. So I'll more show in this video the different steps I take and the actual results for every step I take, right? So the first thing, we need to add some fields, so let's do that. And these are all the fields that we'll use to generate this. We have seed, we have size of the terrain, height, and everything, so we can set it in the inspector. And this is basically code for the terrain. So let's try to save this. And that's simply just a custom script I am adding, so that when I create my world generator here and add the script, then there's a button for it. So world generator, and then we are going to add the world generator script, and there's a button here for generating the world. So if we click generate, it's going to generate simply my world here, and there's nothing special right now. It's just a flat plane. So now I need to figure out how to do noise, create some noise for it, different parameters for making hills and making different things for the environment, so I can put different biomes based on the height and everything. And this is what the noise generator looks like. Again, if you're interested in all the scripts and you want to download them, you can go to my Patreon, and there you can just download all asset scripts and the full project here that I'm working on. If you want to see it, use it for something else, that's up to you. But this will generate a noise map that looks like this. So to generate the noise map, I've added these fields here with some default values that we can manipulate in the inspector to change the noise map around. And then we have our apply height map that takes the terrain and applies that height map we just created before, or the noise map from our noise generator. So let's just call that in here after we create the terrain. Apply height map. But before we do that, we need to set our seed. Right now it's just 1, 2, 5, but we need to initialize it. So we're going to use random to initialize it, and seed, go. So this will, yeah, set our seed so that we can use that seed to generate the same world later. So let's say we find a nice world we generate by entering a specific seed. Well, then later we can use that seed again to apply this, to generate the same world if it was a fun world to play in. So let's try to save this and see what happens in our world if we go out here and select our world generator. And if we click generate world, then you'll see that, wow, now we have a world that is that has some height in it, different height. So I've been playing a bit around with the settings over here, and if I generate this world, I seem like I get a more not so crazy world if I generate it with these values. It might be hard to see how it might be hard to see the texture here or the height and everything on this terrain because it doesn't have a texture on yet. But it's going to look better, I think, when we put a texture on. But for now, I think I want to go with these settings, and then I can always adjust them later when we put on some texture. So the next thing I want to do is to create some water, and the way I would do this would be to create some kind of plane or something. Now this is very, very small, so it's just to show you. So this is my water. I'm simply going to create that water, apply my water shader, and then lift up the water based on like underneath this the ground, like put it in a height, and then there will be water here, for example, and no water there because it's lower than the ground. So that's the basic concept. And based on the world height and all these things, then the water is gonna form around my map. So maybe it's not easy to see here, but that's the general idea about this. So let's try to do that. These are basically the settings for creating our water. We have the water level, that's what I showed you before, where how far up is the water going to be, the material that I'm going to use, and a water buffer is how far away trees and grass and stuff should keep away from the water, so that a tree would not stand in the water, for example. I don't want that. So if our world generator, let's update it. And the material is my tune water. Let's put the water buffer at we have it at 1.5 actually. Let's generate, and there we go. So see, now we have our water right here and our ground right here. So there's also a water puddle up here. It actually looks pretty good, I think. And that's what I meant why we have been low here. We can't see that because the one ran is one side. So behind the scenes here, you can see we have the water below, and it's just a shader that is moving. And then above we have our ground. The game is going to have different biomes like snow, forest, desert, whatever, different things. So I'm just setting stuff up now. So I want to try with, I think, 2 different biomes, like a meadow and some forest. So these are the settings that we'll be using for the biomes, like the scale, like how big is the biome going to be. Then I'm going to make a forest layer and a meadow layer. For now, we can add more layers later, and this might be turned into a dictionary or something later, but for now, just for testing, I'm going to do this. And then we have a sand layer because I want some sand around the water so that it doesn't go grass and then into the water. I want some sand around that with maybe some stone pebbles. And then how far the beach is going to be before. So we have our water, some sand, like height of the beach, and then we have grass or anything else, or snow or whatever we're going to put. So let's see here. So generate the world. There we have it. So now we have some patches of different grass. There's a lot of meadow and little forest. Maybe we should try with 200 here. Yeah, it looks better, I think. Some more forest. Oh, I think it looks... I forgot something actually. So this is the default shader. So if we go here we have the default shader terrain lit, but I actually have a terrain shader I would like to use instead for that is a cell shader. And I can't remember if I included in the standard package I am using. There it is, material ground. Let's regenerate. There we go. So now it looks more cartoonish because it has that cell shader on it. I like the colors better. But it looks very bare. It's okay so far, but we also need trees, rocks, and all those things. So let's add some props in here. And here we have our prop settings, prop types, how much space, how dense this is going to be in the forest, how dense this is going to be in meadow. So if I have a tree, I can decide how many trees are going to be in forest or in the meadow. So I can differ the two biomes to see how many. For example, if I don't want a lot of rocks in the meadow, I can set it to a lower value and then a higher value in the forest, for example. And then I also implemented a method for spawning them, if I can find it. Up here, yes, spawn props here. So we simply just have to call that. So I have set up some different props: pine tree, high tree, some mushrooms, and some tree stumps. So if I generate now, see that they spawn. This is my high tree, these are my stumps, and these are pine trees. So these are the ones that are spawning around. I've put some different random values for how many should be in meadow, which is the light one, and in forest, which is the green one. So the reason that I do this is because I want to be able to chop these down. So these are trees. So this is going to be a problem later. Let's say I make an insanely big map, then it's going to be a problem with all these trees spawning. So I have to figure out how to handle that later. But for now, it's fine. Next, we can add some foliage, for example, some grass that's a bit high, and some flowers and stuff. So let's try to do that. And there we have it. Now we have different foliage, like our grass and our flowers, and there should also maybe be some rocks somewhere. There we go. So there's some rocks here in the meadows. And as I said, this is going to be a problem later when we make a larger map. Let's try to do that. Let's try to take and say 1024 and generate that. You see, then we get a way larger map, and we can see the trees out here. So I need to figure out a way to handle that. Maybe make them into billboards when I'm far away, and then spawn the actual trees when I'm closer. But I don't know what game this is going to be. There might be a third-person game where you farm and everything, or it might be an RTS game where you have to control multiple units and such. So yeah, and if you have any ideas, any suggestions, you feel free to leave them in the comments, of course. Let's see here. We can also look at the seed. So if we change the seed to something else, you'll see that we get a totally different map. Here, now it looks different. But let's say we like that other map we had before and want to generate it again. Then we just punch in the same seed and we get the same map as we had before. And yeah, and that's it. So thank you so much for watching, and remember, if you want to download this project and play around with it, you can get it on my Patreon. All the assets except the what is it called, the textures for the ground, the grass and sand, those are some I bought on Unity as a store, so I'm going to swap them out with some free ones that I'm making myself, because I can't just distribute them, because you have to buy them there. I'm gonna link them in the description if if you are interested in getting those hand-painted textures I'm using here. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.